Okay, next up is Chris Eldridge. He's Director for Operations at Maiden, and he's going to be talking about unlocking health and care transformation through people, data, and technology. And Chris has a background in engineering and lean manufacturing and helped develop iApters, which is the electronic patient record for iApt, which is talking therapies. Over to you.
Thank you. Just making sure I don't talk too long. Anyway.
Don't worry, I'll remind you.
Thank you. So, what I wanted to do was obviously carry on the theme of analog to digital. And in doing so, what I wanted to kind of talk through is what the NHS has been able to do at scale over the last 20 years, because analog to digital does exist, and it's not just a set of features that are about to be delivered at some point in time. So here's me and Ali. I work for a company called Maiden. We are fortunate to live and work in the beautiful city of Bath, which it turns out yesterday is on the only entry for the top 10 gastro city in England. So if you want an excuse to come and see us, then you're very welcome and you will enjoy it. So we provide a web-based patient management system hosted in the cloud that it turns out we started before the cloud was called a cloud, and we predate Instagram. Which was interesting when trying to encourage people to use a web-based system when most of our customers at 20 years ago wanted to put it on a machine that beeped and sat under the stairs somewhere. Today, cloud is a good way to go, and we offer software as a service to all of our customers. So we provide 3 different systems that cover mental health at scale, that cover behavioral and kind of healthy lifestyle change, and mental health for small practices too. We think that if you are using a tool to do your job, it should make your life easier. And it's been lovely to see a number of services talk about themselves delivering talking therapies, because that's where we've grown up from. And I've been with the business for now 16 years. Talking therapies, iApt as it used to be called, predates that by about 4 years. And really, I think what I brought to the business from a lean manufacturing background is try and make the lives of people as easy as possible, take the waste out of what they're doing, whether that's anything that really doesn't add value to the patient, to the customer, so that people are happier in their roles. Because if you're doing things that you don't want to do and don't care for the patient, then you're going to feel frustrated about it. And we've already heard in this session this afternoon of not uncommon stories of a clinician seeing a patient for an hour and then spending 1 to 2 hours writing up notes or something equivalent. And I genuinely believe that, having spoken to a lot of people in mental health care over the last couple of years. So, talking therapy services. Who's heard of them? Put your hand up if you've heard of... Oh, this is great. Right. A little bit of history. Started back in 2006. A couple of Pathfinder pilot sites, Pathfinder sites, national rollout. And by the time it hit the end of the third wave of national rollout, 130 services, or slightly over, were being delivered. Today, it's about 142, I think, maybe 143. Different providers, half of which are NHS trusts, the other half are a mix of local VCSEs, charities, national charities, private providers. Basically, there are a lot of different types of providers, but a handbook in how to do the care. So, when the service started, it was really from a greenfield site. This is the data I could easily find. The number of referrals back in 2012 was under 1 million. Today, it's more than doubled and is about 1.8 million. So that's referrals into the service per year. The average number of sessions somebody has been increasing steadily. It's now about 1.8 sessions for those that do actually engage in care, which results in about, across England, 6.2 million appointments. I think the thing that the service is most proud about, and this really speaks to digital playing a helping hand, is 98% of sessions have PROMs, patient-reported outcome measures, typically PHQ, GAD, etc. I don't think there's another service anywhere in the NHS that has such a high level of completion rates. So well over 13 million of those, just kind of running the maths, are going to get completed every single year across all of the different providers. And that's one of the, we'll come on to digital in a minute for outcome measures, but following the theme of referrals into the service, this is the number of online referrals into the talking therapy service, and this is the services that we work with. So the start of that graph over on the left-hand side is the beginning of COVID, 2020. At that point, most services had some form of online referral. If you look at talking therapies generally, since it started, they began as GP referrals, but the transition has been overwhelmingly to self-referral into the service. At the beginning of 2020, 30% of the self-referrals were online. Not surprisingly, there was a response to COVID, and quite rapidly over a number of months, that grew and continued to grow. So today, it is still growing, and 2/3 of all referrals, self-referrals into the service, are now online self-referrals. So the start of the journey into talking therapies begins with, for most people, the online referral form. We worked with the builders of NHS Choices, as it was, and the NHS website today, and I think it is still one of the only services that not only helps you find your local talking therapy service, but then lists the self-referral form to take you directly there. You can obviously Google it as well, and you can see on here how we support the local service, the talking therapy service, have their own website, and then have a neat segue into being able to refer themselves directly into the service. So wherever they started, Google or the NHS Choices, NHS website, there's a natural transition in. So the start is digital. As soon as that referral is sent, i.e. the submit button's clicked, then the patient journey starts within the service itself. So what you see on here is a very simplified care pathway. Every single service we work with has a care pathway, a unique care pathway. I guarantee it looked more complicated than that, but this one neatly fits on a slide. Typically, that starts with some kind of admin at the beginning, an assessment in the middle, and some decision about the most appropriate treatment modality. So patients take their journey step by step through in their EPR, through the service itself. So you know whether they're in admin, whether they're in assessments, and whether they're in treatment. Can you put your hand up if the service you work in has a wait list that involves, I don't know, an Excel spreadsheet somewhere? Yeah, they're a bit lower down this time. Many of the organisations I talk to outside of talking therapies are typically running multiple spreadsheets to be able to keep track of which patients are in what waiting list. I don't know quite, Chair, whether an Excel spreadsheet counts as digital or analogue yet. Maybe that's something we can discuss over a cup of tea. But if you know where every patient is individually in your service, then you can start to see what the overall service burden is. So if you see where one patient is and you aggregate all of that information together, you can really start to understand how the service is performing. How long does it take to get from referral to assessment? How long is somebody in a wait list? And you don't need to start to send messages between individuals to say, have you seen Hilda? And we need to send a letter to Bob, because all of it is contained within a digital care pathway built into the EPR. And today, this is the reality for well over 100 talking therapy services. This is what they use on a daily basis. They don't need to refer to external spreadsheets. So once the patient's in, and you've decided that they're suitable, the next thing you might want to do, having moved them through the varying bits of admin, is to invite them to an assessment. Now, most talking therapy services, most adult IAP services today would simply click on a button to invite a patient to book their own online appointment. From the patient's point of view, they receive a text message, they simply click on a link and the booking starts, and in 3 clicks, they've seen all of the available slots, chosen the one that works for them, and accepted it. So there's no writing letters if you don't want to. Obviously, that route still exists if the patient isn't comfortable working through a mobile phone. But the vast majority of services in talking therapy today, with 2 clicks, select the type of appointment you would like the patient to book and go, are now booking all of their appointments in that way where possible. As soon as the patient has booked their slot, submitted it, having chosen it, a chain of things are automatically queued up. So the first thing is an appointment reminder. A confirmation is sent to the patient having made that decision. An appointment reminder for their slot is queued up. You've probably as well selected the outcome measures automatically because you know it's an assessment slot and you want to know a particular patient-reported outcomes ahead of the slot. And maybe you've even sent the patient the link for the video session if it's going to be a video call. All of that is triggered from simply the patient making the booking. There's no other admin involved. This isn't something that's coming down the road. This is the reality in talking therapy services at the moment. So the patient gets another message and then can simply click to complete their PHQ and GAD scores. That's online. It's not a surprise that 98% of therapy is completed. The therapist, when they see the patient, gets step-by-step scores shown on a graph to know how they're moving to recovery. Digitally enabled therapy has been a feature of talking therapy services since 2016. So you can digitally prescribe, there's a lot of words in there, digitally prescribe a particular form of treatment. Not only will that onboard the patient on something like SilverCloud, but it will collect data and send it back into the system. So if you're collecting outcome measures, you have a two-way communication. And today, over 500,000 flows and patients are engaged through that mechanism. So it's a scaled system. When you've finished seeing the patient, you want to send some kind of communication to either their GP or to them themselves to be able to keep them updated with care or to let them know of the discharge. With a couple of clicks, you can send it electronically to the patient, or maybe you don't want to print it out, but they prefer it in paper, so send it through hybrid mail. Maybe you want to keep the patient updated with the progress of their referral, or you want to communicate with their support network, so maybe their mum needs to know about it, or their informant. You can communicate through the EPR to those people without having to switch between records and put funny numbers in the patient's mobile record. If you want to send the document directly to GPs, most of our customers are doing that directly from the EPR itself. And we did a lovely randomized control trial that showed how you can increase patient engagement simply doing what Amazon do every time you buy something, which is keep you up to date with the progress of your transaction. It's not standalone. You can communicate with other systems like Rio and the other people around your area. And all of that data that's collected is accessible for you to see and analyze how your service is doing. This is today. AI will help, but sometimes it feels like you're putting an F1 engine into a nice three-wheeler if you don't have the other bits there. So I finished my time, but referencing the songs this morning and trying to find an appropriate link, Arctic Monkeys had some really wise words. I think you all look really good on the dance floor.